Hey there, right now I'm going to show you just how easy it is to use my Photoshop Actions and Lightroom presets. Here we are in Photoshop. I've pulled in a few photos to show you just how quickly and easily you can use these Photoshop Actions to improve your photos. Here's the first photo that I have selected. You can clearly see that this photo is way too bright. Some of the darks are really washed out. We need to bring them back in. So what I do is I go over here to the play button where my actions live. You can see it says Picture Profit Actions. Click on the way too bright action and hit the play button. And instantly, all of the colors and tones are brought back in. It's no longer looking too bright and washed out. It is good to go. Heading over to the next photo. This photo you can see is way too dark and it's too blue. It's too cool is what we say. So if we go to the way too dark and click play, bam, massive improvement. Now, the great thing with Photoshop Actions is that you can actually layer them on top of each other. So if I also want to use the too cool feature, then I can click on this and a fun little pop-up comes up to explain how I can actually change the opacity to make this even less blue, or if I want to kind of back off the Photoshop action a little bit. Super, super easy. Just hit continue. And then down here, I can go ahead and increase the opacity to really even strengthen that action even further. So you can see what a huge improvement that has made. This was it before, massive difference, right? And this is it after, huge and so fast. Okay, so here's another photo I pulled in. It's a little bit too dark, not way too dark, but just a little bit too dark. So I'm gonna click on too dark and hit the play button, bam, instant improvement. You can see before and after, nice tweak. And for the last photo I want to show you here in Photoshop, I'm going to show you how to use my super white background action, which is the coolest action possibly in the entire set. If you want to have a really white background, like that digitally pure white background for your product photos, especially if you sell on Amazon and different things like that, or you're submitting to a publication where you need to have a perfectly white background, that can be really tough to achieve. And this action is absolutely superb in helping you achieve that. So we have this photo here. The background's kind of white, mostly white, sort of, a little bit gray along the bottom, kind of brighter at the top, weird tones happening, but not pure white, not what we would need for that kind of publication or selling on Amazon or whatever. So all we do is hit the play button and there's going to be a warning comes up that explains how magical this is, but how to optimize your image for it. Click continue. And then it tells you how you can go ahead and tweak the image a little bit if your photo wasn't optimized for it. So you can use these for any photos. Some photos a little easier to use than others. And this just explains how to get the most of this action regardless of what photo you're using. Just click continue and then you can see, wowzers, totally white background now. If I can click the before, you can see how it was a little bit more dingy. The background was quite gray and this is white. White, white, white. Huge improvement, so fast, so painless. And that's what you can expect from my Photoshop Actions. And here we are in Lightroom, and I'm going to show you just how to use these Lightroom presets. And I'm using Lightroom Classic for this demo. You can use these presets with either Lightroom Classic, Lightroom CC, or Lightroom Mobile. Looks a little bit different on each platform, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to show you in Lightroom Classic. Over here on the left, you can see that I have my Picture Profit Lightroom presets installed in my program. There's a tutorial on how to do that in the course area after you purchase your presets where it shows all of the tutorials, and I've selected a few photos to show you here. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. Is looking a little washed out to me. So I want to see the colors enhanced a little bit. I want to see some of the finer parts of the text on the notebook coming back in. Just looks a little bit bright, a little bit too washed out. So I'm going to go down here to number 12, washed out, and just click on it, and instantly it brings back the colors. Really, really impressive difference. You can notice this was the before, and this is the after. So really big difference the way they brought the colors back in with this preset. Love it. Okay, moving on to the next photo. So in this photo, I'm noticing a lot of darkness around the edges. That's what we call vignetting, and I have an action to fix that. So you can down here to number 14 where it says dark edges, simply click on it and bam, very quick difference. This is the before, and this is the after. So this preset is really great for RAW files, not so much for JPEGs, but really good for RAW files. So if you do shoot on RAW files, it's one of my very favorites. All right, heading on over to the next one. I'm going to use the same action because it also has a bit of that dark edging. And now let's say I want to just brighten it up a little bit. It looks still just a little bit too dark for me. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the too dark option and allow that to take effect. So big difference on this one. This was the before, and this is the after. All right, next photo. Here, this photo is actually a little bit too bright. It's a little bit, there's some highlights happening around the edges. It's just a little overexposed. Not loving it. So I'm going to go over here to too bright and give that a click. And that makes a really big difference. Now it might be a little bit too dark, so I can go ahead and click on just the too bright to see if that helps. Okay, that's a lot better. So I can also go ahead and try different ones to see which one looks the best. This is the washed out one. This one doesn't quite do it for me. I actually prefer the too bright one the best, and that's the one I'm going to stick with. Good to go. All right, and here is another one that has some darkness around the edges. You can see up here, especially in the corners. So I'm going to use my dark edges. Big improvement on that one really, really quickly. And that one I can play around. I think it's just slightly too dark. So I'm going to click the too dark action, and wow, that looks so much better. It's really lightened up. It looks really nice and bright and perfect for the brand, I think. And so it's really, really, one click makes a really big difference. And this last photo, a little bit of darkness around the edges here too. So I'm going to use my dark edges preset, and that makes a big difference. And I do think that it looks a little bit washed out. They look a little bit too bright, and there's not enough contrast in the image. So I'm going to go ahead and use my washed out preset and bring some of those colors back in, a little bit of that contrast back in. And that's it, my friends. That is how easy it is to use my Lightroom presets.